All right, everyone. Welcome back. It's been a good minute since we've done anything tabletop role playing oriented, so I think it's about time we do another video. And this episode is going to be over. Let me see if I can snag the right page. God, we are getting close. The Dungeoneer Design Journal. So, we are very, very far into this. 286, no, more than that at this point. I'm a little behind. This is June 12th entry, and I think it's the 23rd today. So, we have 4 landmarks here in one section. If this would be so much to catch everyone up with, but the adventure, the current arc of the adventure that we're in is leading the party where the adventurers westward across the Rivenlands, which is something I think I discussed in one of the last little talk throughs. So if you're interested in that, I think the last one that I recorded was specifically about the Rivenlands. So they've done a bunch of stuff. They're kind of trapped in this singular continent, maybe think of a small globe almost, that it wraps around. But they were in the east. They completed a potentially, obviously this is all up to the DM's discretion and whether or not the players actually follow through with any of this, but it's a sandbox, a little setting for them to play in. But they've done a bunch of things east, are heading back west, specifically to find a looking glass. Or no, they found the looking glass, and then the looking glass is guiding them to their true home, which is out of this realm. And it's sort of seen leading them remember that scene in The Mummy? When the bracelet shows them the way. Imagine that, but you look through the looking glass and it just sort of plays out little scenes that will lead you to a destination, this one being home. So they are sort of instructed to head to this salt marsh in the southwest corner of the Rivenlands. And I drew up just simple 4 little spots. Usually these little subdivisions of the continent of the Rivenlands are about 4 to 5 points of interest. So we're gonna map out point of interest A. So you have this salt marsh here. You've got obviously, since it's covered in mostly water, you've got coastline, or I guess dry land here, coastline somewhere in this realm down here, and then it's maybe this is all ocean and cliffs down here. This pen's a little dry. And then this is dry land. Draw some grass there. And there's a little channel that leads up to an elevated area with a lighthouse on it. In my brain, none of this water in the salt marsh is deep enough to really sail. You could do a small canoe, but no big boats or vessels or anything like that. So we will start with point A, a little elevated piece of ground that has the entrance to some sort of subterrane. Man, I don't really have a plan at this point in the adventure for what might be in here. So I figured we could take a peek through here, look at the landmarks in the sandbox generator, and we can see what we might be able to add into this, or sort of like inform what's in this area, or in this cave, or the elevated piece of land. So, well, we need a D10. And I would say fauna, not that important. Flora B, I like. That feels informative. Sure, I'm not smearing that. Let's roll a D10 on Flora B. A 7. Rare plant spot. Okay. I like that. Hydrology. What do we got going on here? Mystery. Let's do maybe like a mystery. Oh. That's a 4. Heads on spikes. Ooh, okay. So rare plants and heads on spikes. So what could that be telling us? First of all, we need to draw the opening to the cave, so we can draw a little entrance here. Maybe this is the path leading towards us. And then this is the entrance to the cave. And then we've got it goes underground, so maybe it comes out a little bit. And obviously leads into a cave, but there are some like spikes, and those protrude from the ground, and they've got skulls on them. How does one draw a skull? Maybe not even a skull, maybe like a... Alright, yeah. Okay, here we go. So there's little spikes sticking out of the ground. And I know we're only addressing half of what we got at this point, but... go. Sorry, a little hard to talk and draw, but so for the we've got that for now. But maybe there's a little like we got some rocks here. And then maybe there's like little plants sticking out. Maybe, form plants. I don't know. How are we going to tie this in? We've got... water in the background, I want to say. Maybe some trees. trees in the background. We'll just blah, 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 blah. There's some trees there. Okay, so how do we want to tie the plants into this? Maybe it could be a... See, we have to kind of like avoid telling the party or like railroading in any way, you know? Like, I don't... Technically, they just need to get home. And this is the way to do it. There we go. So what do we think? Maybe there's like strange plants growing all over the place. Maybe it's like these pairs. Yeah, maybe it's like pairs of tree or little like droopy plants. And I don't know, what could be going on with the plants though? Maybe they like... Maybe they are... Maybe there's like a really sweet scent to them. Like there's something about these plants. That the adventurers, maybe they like literally can't resist them. And they're drawn to this little area of land within the salt marsh. Let me add some texture to this. There we go. Little cave mouth there. Go. Let me just do this just so I can have this filled in a little bit more. That's gonna drive me crazy without that blacked out. Alright, so we got that. And then There we go. Draw the pike sticking out of this dude's head. Oh yeah, that dude got spiked. Draw some grass. Sorry, I'm not crazy skilled when it comes to all this, but you get the idea of what I'm drawing. Draw some rocks. There we go. Draw another plant. Hope my big ass head's not popping through this video. What kind of plant should this be, though? Maybe it smells sweet, which I feel like sometimes can be pretty dubious, but... Alright. We got the little bank here. Trees in the background. There we go. All right. I think we got that nailed down. So we got... Actually, that's not straight. That's going to bother the fuck out of me. Cool. All right, we got that down. And then we can do... Sorry, I don't want to move this 2 out of view. We've got maybe an entrance to a cave. We've got beautiful yellow flowers. Ooh, yeah. How about an intoxicating, sweet smell lures bypassers into the cavern. Cool, hell yeah. So yeah, they visit. There's the sun. Ba 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 ba. Cool. Oh my God. Too busy. Let it go. All right. So we've got that. I'm going to just touch this up just a little bit. Make it a little bit darker. All right. So we've got this down. Now we know what exists on here. And I would say next, usually what I do when it comes down to like tackling individual points of interest is typically I'll go through one by one and just like highlight a couple things about each one with, 4 to 5, however many entries I need. And then I'll go back to whatever one I detailed first and then dive into that, sort of extrapolate, and then once the possibilities there, or like the sandbox there, is done, then we'll move on to the next one. I think I'm going to do the opposite and stick with this cave, or like this island, and then tackle what we have here. And I think, I don't know, just while we've got the juices flowing, Nice. Got some clouds in the sky. I wonder if we can we erase this yet? Probably, I would say we're probably pretty good. Let's erase this. Make it a little cleaner. Sometimes I feel like this is like half the fun of doing lines first and then, like doing pencil first and then going over with pen or with ink. Because this part rules. Getting to erase it all. Now I've got a little brush here that I like to pull out. Whoop. There we go. That looks pretty good. I think that'll work. So yeah. I say we bust into the cave. So we've got, let's see here. This is it'll be the 13th then. Shit, already done for us. All right, RL2A. RL2A. Although we should probably name this something else now that I'm thinking about it. This should be RL2A. We're gonna cross that out. What would we call this? Maybe. What about the fetid depths? Maybe the I got an idea. Maybe the flowers are like a sweet sort of aroma to anyone who visits the little outcropping of land, or I guess the island. They're very sweet, lures them towards the cave, and then as they get further into the cave, it becomes like a more putrid, like fetid aroma. So yeah, we could do that. I would say maybe we'll start like here. So there's the cave mouth, and maybe it comes in here. This part I always do with pen, just because it makes me commit to it a little bit harder. So let my hand kind of go where it wants, really. So we've got this, we've got the entrance here. And then maybe we've got, so this would be fitted depths. We've got A here as an option. Oi, it's an ugly B. And then it'll lead to those two places. So now we can sort of add some textures to it. Maybe add some like debris. Add some rocks. Sometimes I like to go back over it just because it gives it like a little more. You can add some like kind of texture to the walls if you don't like follow it exactly. Do that here. And it can almost add like a rockiness to it. Just by not adhering to a strict border. And you can add a little depth to it on these like parts that overhang. Maybe here, the big boulder, making it a little tighter for passage. Alright, and then, ooh, maybe, here, let me get the, add a little more detail here, just on the spots that kind of pop out. There we go. Add some texture to the floor. And then maybe here there's like a little, maybe here there's like a little tent or something. Let's make a label, because that is not very clear what that is. So there's a tent. And yeah, I mean, this could be, you know, just where you start from here. Maybe there's like some boxes and stuff over here. Go. Those are crates. Yeah, so I mean that could just be your first, and then you can make little notes here like floral, sweet smell, still very strong, and then maybe evidence of previous occupation, and then we could do like crates. Oh yeah, crates full of gold and useless personal belongings. All right, yeah. So something here is using these has like either planted these flowers or is taking advantage of these flowers, having sort of like an intoxicating lure to them. And it's for sure just like preying upon people who follow the scent into the cave. So, that could be an example of what might be in this cave. Yeah, probably not going to do another one on camera because I really got to buckle down and catch up. I want to have it done by the end of the night. And also, I can't have the fan on because the noise will affect the recording. And it is hot as hell in this office. So, I am going to bid y'all adieu. And I appreciate if you stuck around and check this out. Sorry for the first little bit where I was completely zoned out just drawing. Maybe I'll put some music over it or something. But, no, I won't. There's nothing wrong with silence. Maybe I'll do a dynamic zoom or something. But anyways, thanks for watching. I appreciate y'all, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.